You set your alarm for 6:45. At 6:43, your eyes open. No sound, no buzzing, no warning, just you staring at the ceiling 2 minutes before the exact time you told your phone to wake you up. You reach over, thumb hovering above the screen, already knowing what it will say before you look. The real answer is far stranger than coincidence. This happens to almost everyone at some point. Maybe not every night, but often enough that it stops feeling random. You wake up seconds, sometimes minutes before the alarm goes off, as if some part of you was counting down the whole time. And when it happens, there is a small, strange satisfaction in it, like you beat the machine, like your body knew something your conscious mind never had access to. So what is actually happening in those final minutes of sleep? In 1999, a team led by sleep researcher Jan Born ran an experiment that would explain exactly this. Volunteers were told they would be woken up at a specific time, either 6 a.m. or 9 a.m., depending on the group. Their blood was drawn throughout the night to track hormone levels. And here's what Born's team found. In the hour before the expected wake-up time, cortisol levels began rising on their own, not after the alarm, before it. Your body appeared to know the clock time it was supposed to wake up at, and it started preparing hours in advance. Let that sink in for a second. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but that framing sells it short. It is really more of an alertness hormone, a signal that tells your body to shift out of rest mode and into readiness. Under normal conditions, cortisol naturally rises in the early morning hours regardless of when you wake up, part of a broader daily rhythm. But Born's experiment showed something sharper than that general rise. The cortisol spike lined up specifically with the time participants expected to be woken, not simply with morning in general. Tell your body 6 a.m. and the anticipatory rise showed up close to 6 a.m. Tell it 9 a.m. and the rise shifted later to match. Somewhere inside you, without any clock in the room, there is a mechanism precise enough to track an appointment. This ability lives inside a tiny cluster of roughly 20,000 neurons buried deep in your brain, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Researchers often just call it the SCN. Think of it as your body's master clock, sitting in a region called the hypothalamus, quietly running a 24-hour cycle even in the total absence of sunlight, alarms, or any outside signal at all. Decades before Born's cortisol study, chronobiologist Jürgen Aschoff ran experiments where volunteers lived for weeks inside underground bunkers with no windows, no clocks, and no contact with the outside world. What he found was remarkable. Their sleep and wake cycles kept running on a roughly 24-hour rhythm anyway, drifting only slightly, proving that your body does not actually need the sun or a phone or anyone telling you the time to maintain a functioning internal schedule. Your ancestors did not have alarm clocks. For nearly all of human history, waking up on time was not a convenience feature, it was survival. A hunter-gatherer who slept through the earliest hours of daylight lost time for foraging, for tracking animals while their trails were still fresh, for reaching water sources before the heat of midday made travel dangerous. Waking with precision, without needing an external signal, was not a party trick. It was an evolutionary advantage passed down through generations of humans who needed to be alert before the world demanded it of them. That is likely part of why your brain still does this today, even though you now live surrounded by devices practically built to think for you. Here is where it gets even stranger. Some sleep researchers believe the anticipatory waking effect is not purely internal. Your circadian rhythm may work in combination with environmental cues your conscious mind never registers. Subtle shifts in room temperature as morning approaches, faint changes in ambient light leaking through curtains, small sounds from outside, traffic beginning, birds starting their morning calls. None of these need to fully wake you to be noticed. Your brain, even in lighter stages of sleep, keeps processing the environment in the background, adjusting your internal clock in real time. Sleep itself is not one single unbroken state. It moves in cycles, roughly 90 minutes each, drifting between deep sleep and lighter, more easily disturbed stages. As morning approaches, your body naturally spends more time in these lighter stages, closer to the surface of wakefulness. If your alarm happens to land near the end of one of these light cycles, waking up can feel smooth, almost natural. If it lands in the middle of a deep cycle, waking up feels like being yanked out of something, groggy and disoriented, a state researchers call sleep inertia. This is why two people sleeping the exact same number of hours can wake up feeling completely different. It was never only about how much you slept, it is about where in the cycle the interruption happened. So when you wake up 2 minutes before your alarm, what you're likely experiencing is your circadian rhythm, your cortisol anticipation system, and your natural sleep cycle staging, all lining up almost perfectly with the time you expected to wake. Your body was not guessing, it was tracking. There's something quietly reassuring in this, if you think about it the right way. In a world where so much of your daily rhythm is dictated by notifications, calendars, and schedules imposed from the outside, this is one system still running entirely on its own logic. It does not need your phone to function. It barely needs you to be conscious. It has been doing this, in some form, since long before humans built the first mechanical clock, long before anyone needed a reason to wake before the sun to hunt or gather or travel. Of course, this system is not perfect, and it is easily disrupted. Irregular sleep schedules, late-night screen exposure, inconsistent bedtimes, all of these can throw off your circadian rhythm's ability to anticipate anything at all. That is part of why jet lag feels so disorienting. You have crossed time zones faster than your internal clock can recalibrate, leaving your cortisol rhythm anticipating a wake-up time that no longer matches where the sun actually is. But under stable conditions, with a consistent sleep schedule, this internal precision can become remarkably sharp. Some people report waking up within a minute or two of their intended time even without ever setting an alarm at all, night after night, simply because their body has learned the pattern and reinforced it. Which raises an interesting question about what an alarm clock actually is. Not a wake-up call exactly, more like a backup system. A safety net for the mornings your circadian rhythm gets thrown off by stress, by an inconsistent schedule, by one too many nights of scrolling long after you should have been asleep. On the mornings everything lines up the way it is supposed to, the alarm barely gets the chance to do its job. Your body already finished the task before the machine even started. So the next time you open your eyes in the dark, seconds before the alarm sounds, know that nothing mysterious happened, no coincidence, no lucky timing, just a system passed down through hundreds of thousands of ancestors who needed to know when morning was coming before anything told them so, still running quietly inside you, still doing exactly the job it was built to do. You set your alarm for 6:45, but somewhere inside you, the real alarm went off a long time before that.